Okay, guys, it's 7 o'clock, and I'm going to go ahead and call our regular meeting for November 9th, 2023 to order. We have a lot of items to get through tonight, so please be patient with us as we work through it. I will turn things over to Pastor Cooper to lead us in invocation.
Thanksgiving is this month, and so I encourage you to pray with me as we give thanks to the Lord. The Bible says in Psalms 104, it says, "Enter his gates with thanksgiving and his courts with praise." Thank you for everything. We bless his name. Let's pray. Gracious Father in heaven, Lord, we come to you with joy and thanksgiving. We're praising you for who you are. Father, we're thankful for everything that you have given us, this town, leadership, Lord, administration, police, our fire departments, for all those who work in front and behind the scenes, Lord. Father, we know that every good gift comes from above. And Father, we're so thankful for that. Father, thank you that we live in a place where we have free elections, Lord. Thankful our citizens had a chance to speak this past week. Thank you for the re-election of Commissioner Brame and Commissioner Johnson, Lord. Father, continue to bless them through their next term, Lord. Father, I also just want to send up thanks to our clerks, Lord, for Emily and Rabbi, Lord, that they do so much behind the scenes to make things happen, Lord. Continue to bless their work and all that they do, Lord. Thank you for our citizens, Lord. Continue to place upon our hearts how we can serve them better, how we can serve them well. And Father, we ask your presence here tonight to give us wisdom as you gave Solomon, Lord, that we might be able to serve as you call us to do. It is in Christ's name I pray. Amen.
Amen. All right, for you. We've all got all of them. Okay, cool. Yeah.
I think it's a flower sign at the bottom.
I know. It would have found its way to me, I promise you. Next up, we do have a slight change to the agenda where we need to amend it. So I'll entertain a motion to approve an amended agenda to include a resolution to purchase right-of-way for bypass.
Motion to amend the agenda.
All right, we got a first and a second. Any discussion before we move to vote? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. We'll move along into. Are we good with Drew? Yeah. Swearing in of police officer, Officer Drew Cox.
I apologize for Clarence. If you wanted to hit 2A first, the resolution for the check funds.
Oh my gosh. Yes, sorry, my apologies. She can still come on up though. Yes, thank you for keeping me honest. To item 2A, it was on yours, it wasn't on mine. So my apologies. So 2A is the resolution for transportation funds. Nathan, did you want to add anything to that prior to us calling for vote?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, just that I was reached out to by an official at the North Carolina General Assembly who had been requested to find funds to help the town of Youngsville put in the bypass by Representative Winslow. And this was drafted in cooperation with the General Assembly of the House to help allocate funds to purchase the right of way that the town achieved an option for with the approval of the neighborhood about a year ago. So we've put a bunch of pieces in place and we're finally seeing those start to come to fruition. And just to express the thanks of the city to Representative Winslow for working tirelessly to get us an additional $500,000 that is going to come through the House Appropriations.
Sounds good. Okay, so are there any questions, comments, concerns from the commissioners? If not, I'll entertain a motion to move forward with the resolution.
Move to approve the resolution. Second.
All right, got a first and a second. Any discussion before we move to vote? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries as well. All right, so item 3, swearing in of police officer Drew Cox.
Good evening, everyone. Hope everyone's feeling well. First and foremost, today we would like to welcome our newest member of the team, Officer Drew Michael Cox. Officer Cox is a graduate of South Lake High School in Florida. He started his law enforcement career with the city of Durham, where he served as a patrol officer for over 5 years. He is also currently serving in the North Carolina National Guard as a sergeant. He has been with the North Carolina National Guard for 10 years. Oscar started with Youngsville Police Department on July 31st, 2023, and he has completed our field training program. Okay.
Yes, sir. He didn't want to go on right. I felt like-
So might be time to take it to the table.
Maybe so. This way, face the crowd.
Mr. Grant.
So then as soon as it's done, we'll stop for a few moments, let you guys take. a picture. Yeah. Right here. I, Drew Cox. I, Drew Cox. Do solemnly swear. Do solemnly swear. That I will be alert and vigilant. That I will be alert and vigilant. To enforce the criminal laws. To enforce the criminal laws. Of this state. Of this state. That I will not be influenced. That I will not be influenced. In any matter. In any matter. On account of personal bias or prejudice. On account of personal bias or prejudice. That I will support and maintain. That I will support and maintain. The Constitution and laws. The Constitution and laws. Of the United States. Of the United States. And the Constitution and laws. And the Constitution and laws. Of North Carolina. Of North Carolina. Not inconsistent therewith. Not inconsistent therewith. And that I will faithfully and impartially. That I will faithfully and impartially. Discharge and execute. Discharge and execute. The duties of my office. The duties of my office. As a law enforcement officer. As a law enforcement officer. According to the best of my skill. According to the best of my skill. Abilities and judgment. Abilities and judgment. So help me God. So help me God. Congratulations. Thank you.
Okay.
Well.
See the glare over the head.
Room is too small, man. You know I can hear that. Thank you. We want to get some pictures.
Get in there, man. Get in there.
Now the house phone, I didn't say. Oh, yeah. You right here, bud? Got to be right. Oh, I like it. We didn't get that one. There we go.
Staying.
That's what Millie said.
Today's a good day. Also, today, we would like to congratulate Officer Elizabeth McAdams for obtaining her advanced certificate from North Carolina Criminal Justice and Training and Standards. In order to obtain an advanced certificate, you need the following requirements: a bachelor's degree from an accredited institution, has accumulated at least 24 hours training, 24 training points, and at least 6 years of credible experience. Officer McAdams has accrued 971 training hours, a bachelor's degree in English from the University of Maine, and has been in law enforcement since 2017. Officer McAdams has worked with the Youngsville Police Department since July 31st, 2019.
Do you have the big plaque for? Might need help getting this back on.
I don't know why you took it off.
I don't know why I took it off either. I'm hot.
Yeah. There you go. We're gonna round of applause.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, I don't want to fumble it either. It's gonna take you.
Like, do you want to get your family out there?
Also, yeah, sure that.
Can I be in this one? You just want me? Okay.
Max, did she get her truck?
Well, look at it. I don't know. You have to put it in the back.
All right, Mayor, you can finally take that off.
Okay. I had to turn the air on in here.
Last but not least, as part of our field training program, all new officers joining our team are required to complete a neighborhood portfolio exercise as an exercise of their choice. Officer Youngowski chose to do a speed operation as his neighborhood portfolio exercise. He conducted a radar operation on July 22nd, 2023 at the intersection of Cedar Creek and Hicks Road. Officers then moved the operation to Holden Road and Luddy Park. Now I'll hand the floor over to Officer Sinkowski for his presentation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
We've been enjoying the warm weather. Officer Tarankowski, I've been a member of the Youngsville Police Department since October of last year. During the hiring and interview process, the two biggest complaints that Youngsville had was traffic and speeding. Traffic we cannot enforce, speeding we can enforce. So without further ado, speed enforcement. Some statistics on the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, the North Carolina Division of Motor Vehicles. U.S. injuries, 308,013 people were injured in speed-related crashes in 2020. U.S. deaths, 4,330 people were killed in speed-related crashes in 2021. North Carolina injuries, 8,574 people were injured in speed-related crashes in 2021. And North Carolina deaths, 427 people were killed in speed-related crashes in 2021. Some of the speed measurement methods that we use. Certifications for them, you have to be a sworn law enforcement officer to enroll into the classes. The radar is a 40-hour class. The LiDAR is a 16-hour course and hold current radar certification. You need a field practice with a certified radar operator, and you get recertified every 3 years. Radar, what is it? It's radio detection and radar. It's a system for detecting presence, direction, distance, speed of motor vehicles, aircraft, ships, and other objects by sending out pulses of high frequency electromagnetic waves that are reflected off the object back to the source. What it does is shoot the vehicle or object that's coming for you or from you, and it'll send it back to the patrol vehicle and get the speed that the object's going. LiDAR is light detection and ranging. It's detection system that works on the principle of radar, however, it uses light from laser, same thing. Laser beam shoots to the object, comes back to the vehicle, gets speed of what the vehicle's going. Radar operation. On July 22nd, 2023, officers from the Youngsville Police Department conducted a radar operation at the intersection of Cedar Creek Road and Hicks Road. Officers then moved to Holden Road near the entrance of Luddy Park. More than a dozen drivers were cited for exceeding the posted speed limit. One driver was cited at 78 and a 35, as well as careless and reckless driving, which holds a mandatory court appearance. Goals of the Youngsville Police Department. The Youngsville Police Department is nearly fully staffed. It is our goal to have all officers certified in radar and LiDAR to ensure safe speeds throughout the town and surrounding area. This is in addition to the speed signs, one located on North College Street near East Franklin Street. Second is on Winston Street near the railroad tracks. Any questions?
Why in the world someone would want to go 78 and 35 is just, it baffles my mind, but I'm glad you guys were out there enforcing it and getting them off the road.
And we'll continue to keep doing it.
Thank you.
Do you remember which road that was?
That was on hold.
That was a Holden.
Right
Yeah.
past the church. So.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right, so next up, we have our public hearings, and under public hearings, item A is annexation petition, Gerald and Sarah White. I didn't realize
I see them getting up.
it. We just lost half our audience.
Mayor, I'm gonna take a second.
No, we do not.
No, it's just looking down, was going forward, dude.
Yeah, I know, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it.
Congratulations.
Congratulations to us. What are you guys talking about?
No. The air should feel good. Give them another moment to. It's okay. I think we're good. All right, let me try, now it's a little bit quieter. I'll try this again. So item A, annexation petition Gerald and Sarah White and North Carolina Real Estate Buyers LLC 2023-2. I'll go ahead and open the hearing to the public as of 7:16 and turn things over to Madam Clerk for staff report.
The property is on, as you can see on the map, it's on 96. It is adjacent to Timberlake Reserve. All of the signatures, the meets and bounds description, and the ownerships are in, you're good to go.
Okay, sounds good. Did we have anyone register to make a comment from the public? Is there anyone in attendance who would like to make a public comment? All right, seeing and hearing none, I'll go ahead and close the hearing as of 7:16 and move along into item B, final draft of the 2050 Comprehensive Land Use and Transportation Plan, otherwise known as CLUPT. I'll open the hearing to the public as of 7:17 and turn things over for a staff report. And we'll go with Ms. Garcia, if you have anything that you would like to present, or Mike or whoever, and we'll go from there. I was just going to say, if we wanted to do any kind of commentary, like if you just had like a brief overview and then we'll get into the presentation after the fact, or if you, I mean, what is your time schedule like? Go ahead and knock it out.
Yeah, Thursday might be better now so that the public hearing can happen and they have the information to chat about.
Yep.
I'm gonna be very brief because I've been in front of you all a lot and I'm not gonna repeat myself too much. Obviously, the purpose is just to go over some of the edits that have been made to the plan since October 13th, when we had the joint meeting of the board and the planning board, and then conduct a public hearing and then hopefully adoption. So I'm just going to really focus on number 3, summary of changes. Obviously, we've had a 14-month process now. We're at the tail end of it tonight. We started in September of last year. Done a ton of public engagement, as we've covered previously. And we talked last time about what the plan is. Of course, what is up for adoption tonight is an advisory plan, advisory in nature, not exhaustive, something that gets updated frequently. Just a couple of things I want to draw attention to. You all have, I think, a really unique plan. I think it really will stand out compared to your peers because it's in 2 volumes. Volume 1 is a plan of action. Volume 2 is really all that history, very important, background information, forecasting, but a lot of plans mix this and kind of bury what's important. I think you have a plan that would be very useful and gets used, which was one of the things that was in your RFP. We listened to the public, developed this vision statement, vision themes and vision map with a lot of engagement. We've covered all this previously. We have the future land use plan. I will point out one edit on this. The line for the town jurisdiction, we had to adjust. We had an error in it, but it doesn't change anything substantively. The land use policy that's recommended, any of that, it's all unchanged. But you catch little things when you're at the end of the project. Transportation plan, there is one significant change here that I'll go over in more detail in just a moment.
And then this is a new piece that I don't believe we had this ready last time, but the map you see on the right is what we have termed big moves. These are really significant projects, significant policies, significant investments that really have an outsized impact on improving the town and quality of life for the people who live here. And so we've put those on a map. I think that's also something really unique about your plan. Really robust, straightforward implementation actions. And you see on the map those that are physical, like the bypass road, like Richland Creek Greenway, and then you also see some that are not able to be mapped. Oh, and the armory, repurposing the armory. So just quickly, summary of changes. I'm sorry, this thing is very sensitive and it's jumping on. One thing we did do, and I think this is a reflection of how we've been incorporating public engagement as we've gone, we did make an adjustment to the bypass alignment in response to some really insightful public comments. Let's go over that in just a moment. We had an error in the boundary, we fixed that. Goal, connected places, the fifth goal in connected places is a change. It is develop a culture of safety for all travel modes, ages, and abilities. You just had a presentation on speed. Of course, that's a big part of safety. This we intended to have in the draft in October. We just made an error, and the thing that was there is the fifth goal is actually in action now in the plan. We added this in. And then we had some grammatical and spelling errors and consistency things that we fixed. So we've had like 5 people read it. I'm hopeful we don't have any grammar issues, but so I think it's in a good place for you all to consider adoption tonight. I just want to touch on this and then I'll close my remarks. This is the one significant change. The bypass road was kind of bending into 96, and there was a suggestion that having it more straight into 96 would be better because it would get trucks further, onto the bypass further from downtown. Would eliminate some kind of awkward intersection alignments. And I think also, what we kind of presented initially was very draft and, about 95% there. We presented to the public and we got some really good feedback that we used to incorporate into that final alignment you see on the right. I will say, Campo, Lucy Garcia, your excellent planner here, has gotten kind of a grant of some assistance to study this area in more detail and what the actual final alignment should be. So this is not a permanent marker. It's likely to change, but this is a good starting point for further studying.
Dry erase is good enough for right now.
It's dry erase. So those are my remarks. The only thing I'd add, the planning board, of course, met in October and they recommended approval of the final draft with no changes. And so that is all I have. Happy to entertain any questions. I also have the content from, gosh, this thing is sensitive. I'm going to stop. The content from October 13th, in case anything you want me to come back up and go over.
I think we're good. Any questions, comments, concerns from the commissioners? Anything that could stand out or is lingering?
So the biggest change on this is we're shifting it straight down across Tarboro, outside of the neighborhoods to essentially an area that's not really for anything to connect direct to 96.
Yeah, trying to snake,
On that south side.
obviously avoid directly impacting neighborhoods. Yeah, and then you also see how that then creates an opportunity to kind of have some connectivity east-west in that area as well.
Yep.
Well, I appreciated the October 13th and then we got so much public engagement. I think that was fantastic. So thank you for your over a year of time doing this.
You're welcome.
I like the QR codes at the businesses in town.
Yeah, it was nice.
Great.
It's something that I'm not going to search a website, but I can scan it on my phone and quickly hop on something.
I got to give credit to our subcontractor, Motley Local, for that. They did an excellent job.
Outstanding. Well, Mike, thank you. Ms. Garcia, did you have anything that you wanted to add? Okay. All right.
Thank you all.
Thank you so much. All right. So
If there's any-
perfect. So having heard the staff report on that, I will open it up to any comments from the public. Did we have anyone that pre-registered that wanted to speak? Okay. Anyone in attendance who would like to speak for this public hearing?
Good evening, Commissioners. Two things.
regard to the comprehensive plan. I thought we had removed the east-west connection.
I apologize. If he could state his name and address.
Excuse me, 385 Fleming Road. The east-west connection between Northbrook and Fleming, it's back on the map. Right through Glenn's yard. It was supposed to be removed so that we wouldn't have the 400,000 square feet of truck traffic on Fleming Road. It was supposed to be removed so that it could go on Northbrook, not on Fleming Road. We already have enough truck traffic on Fleming Road. There's no more that we want to see. Number two, this map that you saw on the comprehensive plan, based on the amount of input and the questionnaires that the public filled out, there was an abundance of comments about preservation of farmland, preservation of open space, preservation of tree canopy. However, that element never made it into the comprehensive plan. It did talk about some watershed protections, which are absolutely critical, but it didn't talk about the preservation of open space. And if you follow that map that was provided, you'll have about 95%, maybe 97% developed land. And I don't think the residents even understand that there's that high a percentage. We should at least have some type of balance between open space conservation, tree canopy, and development in a rural town. And I would hope that we could have that before the final draft is approved in the wording and language, some type of sustainability element that has more chutzpah rather than the one that's there. It talks about it, it says, has some tangential references, but it doesn't have any real benchmarks. I mean, my recommendation would be 60% development, 40% open space. And once you hit 60%, people just pound sand and you have to go build somewhere else. But at least it protects, if you call it, nature of the area. And I don't understand why there was no discussion of the ETJ area when it came to open space. It was just all shaded light green, but there was no shading of tree canopy areas, parks and rec areas, conservation areas. Of course, there was industrial areas shaded because that is an important and paramount component of this, but open space is equally important. And that's why you put me on that comprehensive plan, was because I am the chair of Sierra Club for Capital, and I actually speak for the open space, the native species, and all the other ones that will be eradicated with this plan.
All right, thank you for your comments. Do we have any additional comments from the public? All right, seeing and hearing none, I'll go ahead and close the hearing as of 7:27, and we'll move along into item C, which is a petition for zoning amendment 338 North Carolina Highway 96E from Ag to RMST. I'll open the hearing to the public as of 7:28 and turn things over to Ms. Garcia for staff report.
A rezoning to RMST, but other things that are added, this change use-wise are temporary outdoor sales, townhouses, and less than 8 multifamily units. And the potential use that was proposed by the applicant is a potential townhome development. The townhome density limit is 16 units per acre. That's all I have.
Okay. Thank you for that. I will open the floor to any comments from the public. Madam Clerk, do we have anyone that registered to speak to this?
Yes.
Okay. Do we have anyone in attendance who would like to make a public comment for item C? All right, seeing and hearing none, I will go ahead and close that meeting as of 7:29. We'll move into item D, which is text amendments to the Youngsville Development Ordinance, Article 8, individual lot width. And I'll open that hearing to the public as of 7:29 and turn things over yet once again to Ms. Garcia for staff report.
So this text amendment, again, the townhouse minimum code standards. Standards to avoid reducing the lot width is going to provide sufficient space for industrial without encouraging extra wide lots. And it would allow for more use of the limited street frontage, the industrial district. So these lots are still gonna have to, comprise the same amount of total area, they just don't have to as much in the front.
Okay. All right, thank you for that. Madam Clerk, did anyone register to speak to this one? Okay. Do we have anyone in attendance who would like to make a public comment on item D? All right, seeing and hearing none, I will go ahead and close that hearing as of 7:30, and we'll move along into item E. Text amendments to the Youngsville Development Ordinance, Article 4 and Article 19, Stormwater Administration. I will open the hearing to the public as of 7:30, and once again, turn things over to the most popular person in the last 5 minutes, Ms. Garcia.
Right. So according to part of the tax jurisdiction in the all development that disturbs more than an acre of the state requires experts at NCDQ, but all development in the watershed requires additional review by municipalities. Their specific watershed protection ordinances are this argument. This amendment clarifies our, as a town, required enforcement of this additional review. Any current NCDQ water supply watershed, which is just the Little River watershed. All review of development in this watershed is going to go through our engineers. Or the planner in this case, would just make would sign off after the engineers says, yep, this looks good, watershed is protected. I mean, as the stormwater administrator, I would have the power to just sign that and
Or that it was exempt because it wasn't the watershed development.
correct.
Okay. All right, Madam Clerk, did anyone sign up in advance for this one? Okay. Is there anyone in attendance who would like to make a public comment in regards to item E? Seeing and hearing none, I'll go ahead and close that hearing as of 7:32. We'll move along in item F. Text amendments to the Youngsville Development Ordinance, Table 8.1 and Article 10, Mixed Use Development Standards. I will open that hearing to the public as of 7:32. And once again, turn things over to Ms. Garcia for staff report.
This final two things. Number one, it would add additional design standard, which pivot to multi-family. Except for permitted use. It also adds additional design standards. SBT and DO, MS, U2, and CP1 are what we understand as mixed use districts.
Okay. Thank you for that. Madam Clerk, no need in asking. Okay, fair enough. Is there anyone in attendance that would like to make a public comment on item F? All right, seeing and hearing none, I will go ahead and close that hearing as of 7:33 and move along into item 7, citizens' comments. Madam Clerk, did anyone register to make a citizen's comment? Is there anyone in attendance tonight who would like to make a citizen's comment? If so, the floor is open. All right, seeing and hearing none, I'll move along into the consent agenda. And the action requested is to approve the consent agenda. Do I hear a motion to approve?
Motion to approve. Second.
All right. Tie goes to Larry. Okay, fair enough. Okay, any discussion before we move to vote? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Item 9, old business. Annexation ordinance 2023-2, Gerald and Sarah White and North Carolina Real Estate Buyers LLC. The action requested here is to adopt annexation ordinance 2022-2. Prior to calling for a vote, was there anything that was needed? Madam Clerk, staff.
This year, I believe there may be a typo one year.
2023.
2023-2.
I said 2022, didn't I? That was my bad. 2023-2. Thank you for clarification. Please strike that from the record. And then I don't like making mistakes. All right. All right, sounds good. Any questions, comments, concerns from any of the commissioners?
Is there just a logic behind the annexation? Like, we don't always ask to annex in.
Having an in-town limit sounds pretty awesome, though.
I think it's fantastic. I'm just wondering.
Just, developments annex. Amazing department.
That's
I
true.
can hear that quite often because we maintain like streetlights and things like that. So a lot of the developments into, annex, you may first start the.
Awesome. And we have a second trash trucks. That's really, really. You know what I mean?
But I think it helps escalate the ability to get water too.
Okay.
All right, any additional questions, comments, concerns? All right, once again, the action requested is to adopt annexation ordinance 2023-2.
Move to adopt. Second.
All right, got a first and a second. Any discussion before we move to vote? Hearing none, all in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Item B, final draft of the 2050 Comprehensive Land Use and Transportation Plan. I know we already went through quite a bit in the public hearing section. Are there any questions, comments, concerns from the commissioners to Mike, or we feel pretty good?
Can I ask Carl?
Yeah.
If you can just turn it down a bit, but how, can you tell me what you're talking about with the Fleming Forest?
Oh, sure. You look on the map that he added about the arterials, there was a blue connection horizontally, east to west, connecting Fleming Road to Northbrook. Now, that was supposed to be striped off of the master plan, but somehow it got snuck back on.
You say it was supposed to be, you mean like you had public comments said that maybe that wasn't a good idea? Why was it supposed to be?
If that is connecting, it's just going through some yards.
Commissioner, right, if I may, the blue is the reduction, Northbrook is the truck route on here. So we did what, Mr. Rakowski and his neighbors requested. The blue neighborhood connector is one of the smaller roads that is a neighborhood road. The yellow or the orange here are intended to be the routes that are gonna have more heavy through traffic on them.
Right. I'm just trying to get,
Northbrook is the.
yep.
The green is the railroad,
Uh-huh, yes.
Fleming is this blue,
Correct.
and then that one is
The
Northbrook.
orange,
Yeah.
uh-huh.
And the orange is like, you know, the service roads to the interstate
Right.
96, the bypass that we're installing.
So Carl, what are you seeing that,
By connecting the Northbrook commercial road in orange to
the blue where you're,
it would
okay,
exacerbate the truck traffic that's already occurring Fleming Road because of the amount of inordinate traffic in downtown. They're bypassing so that they don't have to go through the town, and they're using Fleming. I go out and watch them in the morning when I drink coffee.
that sounds relaxing.
It is. I counted 17 on Monday,
17 what?
trucks, 18 of them.
Okay. Any additional questions, comments, concerns? Is that satisfying?
Can I ask, is this something that other people think is a concern? Is it anything that we should relook at or has, I mean, this has been 14 months of, so I understand that, I'm just.
Well, again, I think we probably need to remember too, and Nathan, Mike, I don't know if you guys want to speak to this or not. This is not like something that's stamped in granite. Right? I mean, it's a document that can be massaged and basically it's a baseline that says, hey, this is probably a good pathway to go, but it's not like, I'll let you explain it because
Well, yeah.
I'm having trouble with words right now, so.
I mean, one of my favorite quotes about comp plans is they're not self-implementing. Like you all have to do a lot to implement this plan. So yes, it's not set in stone, first of all. I think secondly, the change we did make was Fleming was orange and Northbrook was blue. And we heard concern and therefore switched them. And the idea is with Northbrook coming down, getting extended and kind of connecting to where the bypass is, that trucks would go that way. The connection over, one of the key principles that is woven throughout this plan is connectivity. We have seen all over this region where we lack connectivity, things get funneled onto 1, 2, 3 roads, just get really congested. And so we're trying to avoid situations where there's big gaps, where there's no connectivity. And so that is why there's a connection between Fleming and Northbrook, which has been in the plan. Not
And
Makes good sense.
is the reason that dotted blue line there, is that because currently that's kind of where the road ends at? I'm looking at Google Maps currently. And it looks like that blue line going across is kind of where Northbrook ends at anyways.
Yeah, and we looked at where things end and where there might be partial roads or, driveways, things like that could aid in connectivity in the future. The reality of a lot of the blue lines is they would be built if and when development happens.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. There's nothing there right now. So
Yeah.
That's what the dashes are.
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, yeah. The dotted is possible future extensions.
That's
Thank you.
Thanks, sir. All right, any additional questions, comments, concerns? All right, hearing none, well, the action requested here is adopt plan as presented.
Move to adopt plan.
Got a first, do I hear a second?
So
Got a first and a second, any additional discussion before we move to vote? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
And any opposed? That motion carries as well. Item 10, new business. Item A, petition for zoning amendment 338 North Carolina Highway 96 East from Ag to RMST. Lucy, did you have anything? Oh, sorry, Ms. Garcia, did you have anything else that you wanted to add? All right, the action requested here is to approve zoning amendment as presented.
this. Right. Comment concern? This is backing into Timberlake, right? So theoretically, it would tie into Timberlake. Is that something we would, okay? Because we have like a greenway there.
Mhm.
That's what that's.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, that's,
You can see the roads are already stubbed.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. They're stubbed out. I was just making sure that we were going to tie back into that greenway path that comes up here.
That is-
Yeah.
Cool. Good
Yeah,
question.
like Greenway's not done, because I haven't done the bridge. I
Haven't done
can't
the
run
bridge.
that way. It's kind of annoying.
Hey, couple pieces of 2x4. You could do the bridge yourself. That could be your new workout.
Any additional questions, comments, concerns? All right, once again, action requested here is to approve zoning amendment as presented.
Move to approve zoning amendment.
Second.
All right, got a first and a second. Any discussion before we move to vote? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Any opposed? All right. Item B, Parks and Recreation Director McClellan will present survey results from the 2023 baseball season.
So every season we do. It's just for us to get feedback from the parents, like they didn't like it. So on this first slide, it was how did the season go based on the parents' feedback. We had 3 that were very dissatisfied, and based on the responses, it was because, broken equipment, and then they only want 1 game a week. And then we also had 3 that were somewhat dissatisfied, and that was the cost to play in our rec leagues. And players should be allowed to choose or parents should let the parents should choose what league their players should play in based on their skill level. And then we had 4 that were neither satisfied nor dissatisfied. And those were because we allow the head coaches to pick their assistant coaches. They get 3 assistant coaches, and the coaches' kids automatically get put on the team. And then we had a couple that didn't want any Friday practices, and that they would like to practice during games. And then they would like wait their games as well. And then the somewhat satisfied and the very satisfied were kind of the same, as in they like the rules. And we added modified coach pitch this year, which is a 5 to 6-year-old league, instead of doing standard coach pitch, which was 7 to 8. The scorekeepers did good, and they just wish we'd have the playoff schedules available a little bit earlier.
This next slide is the communication from the Youngsville Parks and Rec staff. The majority of it was good. The only feedback I've received is when we do cancel for weather, so we get it to like the whole team instead of just the coaches and them responding. So, and then we do post on social media. We weren't great at it this year. We do plan on getting better for next year, just to give another way for parents to get the information. And then this next slide is how the umpiring was. This was specifically for the 13 to 15 junior league age group. Overall, it was good in Youngsville. It sounds, it's a little challenging, but, and then I do have one comment just from a coach pitch perspective. Overall, it was much better than past seasons. Coaches and people will always have certain calls here and there, but the umpires are human and it improved drastically with the second umpire being added this year. So after the season last spring, we did get feedback that coach pitch should have 2 umpires, just because there's a lot of little rules that go on for coach pitch, and it's very hard for one umpire to catch it. So we did add 2 this year, and it seemed to help a lot and make the games go a lot smoother. And then this is the scorekeeping for the coach pitch league. Most of it was great. There was a comment in here about staff being on their phones. We do a staff meeting before every season, and that's addressed, and we do have policies in place to help kind of prevent that. And they know the consequences that come with it. So, and we do plan on continuing those meetings and continuing to enforce it. And for the spring, we do plan on having radios out there, so that way phones shouldn't be out there, and a site supervisor will be there. Because if anything happens, they'll have a radio to communicate. They don't have to call. And this one is kind of all over the place, but this is from the whole T-ball, modified coach pitch, minor league, little league, and junior league, what they view the scheduling should be like. Obviously, you can see somewhat less practices or less early practices, somewhat more early practices. Some think games should start later, the games start too late. As you can continue to read, but we do try our best to, for the Saturday practices and games, to consider. I know minor league and coach pitch kids, they usually play flag football, and so they start at 12 and get through the afternoons. We try to have the games a little bit earlier. And then I know Yaks plays in the mornings. We schedule those games a little bit later for the T-ballers and modified coach pitch. So, but the only way to not have Saturday practices or games is to cut the number of kids in the leagues we have. And I don't see where we're getting enough negative feedback for Saturdays to do that at this point. And then the last slide is just areas of improvement / additional comments or concerns. To add walk-up music to the rules, overall it was good, and then for the amount of money, it should be more organized. Questions?
No, I think it's a pretty good summary. I applaud you for actually opening things up. I mean, obviously having the surveys is a good litmus test, right, to see how well things are going. So just to see that there are some negative comments and how we can look at addressing those and make it better. You're never going to please everyone all the time. My goodness, we know this. But if you're trying to, and you're trying your best and you're always making a concerted effort, the good ones are going to stick around. I love the idea of having more kids involved because I'm a huge fan of kids being involved in sports. They learn so many life lessons. And so, yeah.
I appreciate that you're asking for feedback and then actually paying attention to the feedback, because a lot of people ask for it and then it just goes in a file somewhere, but you're paying attention to it, presenting it, trying to use it to make changes. So I think that's awesome.
And I'll add that I'm glad that you're doing it because, people are not calling you up to praise you. They're only calling to complain most of the time. So you only hear the negative. So when you can see, okay, people do like the way we're doing things and you don't have any knee-jerk reactions to one person complaining about something. So I think it's great that you did it. And I think it's great I don't know if you're going to continue to do it every season or just every now and then, but it does give you another thing to look at versus just the 1 or 2 people who complain. Yeah. Yep. I completed the survey. So.
Thank you.
Was the only thing I have is for the more organized, was there anything specific that they were asking for? Was it just kind of just for this last page? Walkout music, is, yeah, that's that's a lot of work,
Yeah, I think there was,
especially for the amount of kids we have.
Yeah.
Was there like actually anything from, or was it more or less they were saying more organized with no real
so,
focus?
yeah, I went back and looked at the rest of the survey that that person completed, and all it said was not all 5 to 6 year olds are ready to move up from T-ball. We should allow the parents to choose, and if umpires are favorable to other teams, we'll be allowed to umpire. There was never really anything about organization, so I'm not really sure what they meant by that.
That's why I was asking us.
If we're like the 5 to 6, then choose them what league their pitch play, and we don't do that for a safety reason. Obviously, if you don't want a 6-year-old.
Yeah, I can't say like, I don't feel comfortable moving up from T-ball or to adult league, so let me play T-ball this year.
Yeah, I can
Say it.
Yeah,
but I
like,
guess. Need that for communication,
yeah, and that's why I was asking if they had like something specific or if they're just,
set it or something.
I mean, it's true. Not all kids are, you got kids that are really good, and kids that are not as good, but
So we did.
you can't, exactly,
Not like they're going from T-ball straight to having it.
right.
I think some liked it, some didn't, so, but. And the walkout music, I think, was more for the coaches to play it. Some coaches did it in this past fall. I got a few complaints. We just kind of cut it off altogether.
I mean, if a team wants to do it,
That's what,
I think it'd be like, for like that, the junior league group,
yeah.
but like for T-ball, for coach pitch, it's like, this is a little excessive.
It's come a long way in 15 years. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
one person back then. Now it's multiple people. So it's good to see the growth. I don't know what it costs to, what does it cost to play in the fall now?
So it depends on the league. Softball is 75 for out of town, and then our softball, sorry, T-ball, and coach pitch is 100, and kid pitch is 125.
Can't go anywhere else around here and find that. I mean,
Yeah.
just, I
We
mean,
actually do this. It's not.
I think probably now, I would beg to say there's probably not 5 kids that are from in the city limits that are probably in there.
We got 3 of them.
That's when I was going through, I had 3 of them. So, I mean, that was it. So, I mean, you know, to have good feedback, that's because there's always going to be somebody that's not happy with whatever situation. But when you go by and you see the ditches full of cars and all the parking gone, obviously it's got to be pretty good. So appreciate your efforts.
Sounds good. It says action requested, direct staff is necessary. I don't know that there's anything additionally that we need to direct roll. Just keep it moving. So I know we got some stuff coming up for the Parks and Rec plan and all that. So definitely more to come. All right. Item C, board discussions and recommendations for staff. Action related to the heavy truck traffic on Main Street. I wanted to bring this up just to kind of get consensus, right? And, you know, we've done this in the past just to kind of make sure that we as a board are on the same page with how we want to move forward. So I asked to have this on the agenda so we could kind of openly discuss and figure out what our next best step is going to be. And if that means we're directing staff to draft a resolution or, you know, do whatever. Again, I just wanted to kind of have a space to open this up for discussion. Kind of seeing the things that have happened at the Cross and Main intersection over the last, 3 weeks? I think, was it today or yesterday, the pole got hit again? And I mean, here we are. And for the whole idea that, oh, this just happened. No, those poles have been hit ever since I've been mayor for almost 10 years now. We got small businesses that are getting hit by transfer trucks. And I mean, there's got to be something that can be done. We've asked for assistance from the DOT in the past. Even when we were revitalizing downtown, just asking for just 9 months, if we can get some kind of a reprieve. And they didn't want to do it. But now I feel like we're at a point where it's just critical mass and something's got to be done. We can't continue to do this stuff because it's such a burden for all staff. And it's not just the police department. It's not just our staff here taking calls, but you get in the streets and maintenance and redirecting traffic through town roads, hundreds if not thousands of cars that have to be redirected to Winston and to Pine and all this other stuff. When it becomes such a severity that it's impacting our citizens, I mean, we got to step up and do something, plain and simple. So that's my spiel. And again, I just wanted to open things up for the commissioners to give their input as well. And then hopefully, like I said, we can have consensus on what the next steps need to be.
If I may.
You can absolutely interject if you want to.
So I met with Scott Wheeler today, who is now working for Summit on a question about how much funding we'll be able to design a crosswalk and lighting for. He happened to ask, so how's this Main Street improvement project going? And I said, it is not what we were expecting across the main. The rest of it is absolutely phenomenal. It came out in that discussion that we have been trying to reach out to folks at NCDOT and have not felt like we're being heard by them. A couple of emails have gone unanswered, whatever. I understand that there's some personal issues amongst some individuals. It is what it is. But Scott picked up the phone and called somebody. And within 3 hours, I had calls from NCDOT engineers who were here on site and said, we have a plan. We will move the poles in 2 weeks. Now, that doesn't do anything for the trucks, except for they won't be hitting the poles anymore. So one of the things that Mayor Flowers asked me about when we were talking about this was, how far do we want to go on saying we don't want trucks in downtown Main Street? There's a whole variety of things. On one extreme, we say, look, we're telling the state we don't want trucks on our Main Street. And oftentimes the administrative state of DOT will do what the local government wants. That would be a hard fight. On the other extreme, we say, thank you very much for what you're doing, and we continue to accommodate truck on Main Street.
I'll add that I remember having those conversations, Mayor Flowers and myself with DOT 2 years ago. And it was ahead of the Main Street Improvement Project where we were talking about diverting truck traffic through 98, I think it was. And we said, why can't we just do that going forward? And then they tell us, well, not until you get a dedicated alternate route, AKA the bypass. And then we say, okay, when can we get that? And the answer is 2050. And we're sitting there, with our hands in the air, like, what can we do? So kind of in a rock and a hard place, and we only have a few tools in the tool belt, and that's what we're talking about here. And it's, we've talked about it in the past, and we know that it may ruffle some feathers if we go the hard route, but at some point we got to do something. We can't just sit here and let trucks tear up our downtown and clog up our streets. So we got to start making plans to do something about it. And if we have to go the full way, we will. If not, maybe DOT will respond and come up with a better option in the meantime, or speed up the bypass or something. But I'm tired of having to go back to the citizens and say, we can't do anything. So.
I'm with Scott. I mean, I drive a truck with a trailer most days at work. I drive a 2500 with a 30-foot trailer. It takes all of half a second to not be paying attention to hit something. You can take the street lights and move them over, but I mean, they've hit the signs over there at College Street at Benchmark. They've hit the building at Crossing Main. We've had vehicles drive through Crossing Main itself. We've had vehicles hit the awnings in the building at Main Street flooring. It's not an issue of the road's not wide. It's not an issue of the road's not wide enough. I drive down it. Many trucks a day drive down it. It's a matter of it takes one person out of the 20,000 maybe cars that drive down that road to hit that, and now everything is stopped. And there's not much you can do unless we can get an alternate route. I mean, there's not we can fix this by saying do this or do that, or move this stoplight 2 feet this way or 2 feet that way. The road's been widened. They're still hitting it. Before we widened the road, they were driving off into the ditch, on the lot coming up 96. That was the Christmas tree lot. I mean, we've added asphalt. We've changed this. We've changed that. We're now moving moving lights. We're playing this weird game where at the end of the day, there's not much we can do with just shuffling stuff around. It's just, hey, you can't drive 100-foot truck down this road and keep hitting stuff.
I'm sure in 1960, when those vehicles were smaller, they could probably navigate it a lot easier. But nowadays, with the size of these trucks, it's almost impossible. And the plans that are out there were approved by DOT. So it's not something that
No,
it's not just said, hey, we're going to roll with this. No, this was a DOT approved plan. And this is not a knock on the truckers, because my gosh, I know we depend on them to bring in goods and services and things of that nature. But when things like this happen, they're not the ones directing traffic and cleaning up cement spills and gravel spills and all that stuff. We're the ones left holding the bag when things go sideways on Main Street. Why on earth? And I know it's a GPS thing, and I'm sure it's probably designed to save them money because it's a shorter route. I wouldn't want to drive a truck through this downtown. It's too tight, turning left off 96 and right back on the 96 after it's at Speedway. Yeah. And again, I'm not trying to ruffle feathers with DOT, because we do need them. We also need them to respond to some requests. And if we're saying, hey guys, we got a significant issue, we need to get in a room together and figure this stuff out, and they blow us off, I don't take too kindly to that. So, one of my favorite sayings is sometimes you got to crack some eggs to make an omelet. So if that's what we got to do, that's what we got to do. I'm gonna fully support whatever the commissioners want to do. And again, with the understanding too, that that's not going to impact deliveries in town. So like, in other words, if you got a transformer that needs to be shipped out or something like that, there's going to be special instances where that's still going to happen. But
well, let me note that we've been here for 30-some years. We ship trucks that are long enough that they have to be permitted, and we have never did anything. It can be done.
You have some. Oh, yeah.
If the driver's paying attention.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It takes, and yep.
Well, again, I don't think it's local people that are hitting them. I think it's people coming out of Virginia or South Carolina, wherever the heck they're coming from, and they're not accustomed to this area.
Because it's cut from US 1 over to 95.
Or yeah, I mean that. So
jump from Durham, you need to hit 95. This is the way you come through.
So yeah, I don't know. I mean, Commissioner Johnson, Commissioner Red, did y'all have any input that you wanted to provide, or? Okay.
There were several years ago, and I was commissioner then too. And we were talking about how the truck traffic was just getting worse and worse. And we talked about how I was going to go out on Main Street and just stop the trucks and ask them where they were going. Why are y'all out here? What are you going from here to there? Like what? It's been an issue for so long. And there was a study done one time, I don't remember when or who did it, that said that the truck traffic on Main Street was a higher percentage than the truck traffic on the highways.
Wow.
It is an issue. I don't think that it's going to solve all our traffic woes.
Sure.
You can tell when there's school is out, and that causes a lot of traffic also. But I think it would be significant for just people trying to use the new crosswalks, open a door when they're parking on the side of the street. I mean, I'm all for it. It definitely takes away from that small town charm when you're walking by and an 18-wheeler comes by. I love hearing the train, but I do not love the sound of an 18-wheeler. So yes, I'm also behind whatever the town decides to do.
Well, as Mayor, you and I saw it the other night when we were standing out of Youngsville Baptist Church. Everybody that was going either way doesn't live here. They don't live in our city limits. They don't live most of them don't even live in the ETJ. So they're going through. So big trucks downtown has never made sense. So the faster we can work on a bypass, which is, when I first started with 16 years ago, and it was on the Campo, it was 2035 then. That sounded like a long time ago. It's really not. It's kind of sneaking up on us. And now it's coming quickly, and it's not going to get any less clogged up downtown. Now they're going down, they go down Winston Street all the time over to Nassau, over to the light. So it's not they're finding different routes to go. If they can find different routes to go through the middle of town, they're out to go on the bypass. So eventually we got to have a hard stop on it as a town board. We got to just say, we're not going to let more trucks downtown. I mean, that's going to end up being it. That's my piece.
All right. Commissioner Wiggins, did you have any additional input or any concerns? Are you in agreement as well? What we should do going forward? I mean, as far as do you concur with the statements? Yes, sir.
I concur. I don't have a solution either.
Yeah. Understood. Okay, what action requested here is to direct staff for next steps. So I think you guys have a pretty good pulse on what the next steps need to be, and if we need to draft some language to review to maybe have prior to the next meeting.
I would be delighted to propose a resolution to you, Mr. Mayor, and Mayor Pro Tem Brame for review in the next few weeks. But I'd also recommend that if we want to do as much as possible, that probably the three of us ought to sit down with the state traffic engineer. I think it's Brian Mayton, but I have it written out in my office, whose name I discovered today, talking with NCDOT about this, and they said, well, he's the person who's going to decide whether or not this works or not.
Okay.
So if we go and meet with him and we get a resolution, and then we go up the chain however far we need to until we're heard.
Sounds good to me.
I'd have that meeting in the car with him like between 3 and 5.
Yeah. Or I was thinking about the site in the community house and asking.
Absolutely.
Again, we want to work with DOT. We want solutions, but when we're reaching out and he's going to leave that up here. Action requested directing staff for next steps. So we're on top of that and more to come there. Item D, presentation of annexation petition, Mays Crossing, TMMG Development 2023-E. Wow, it's been a long day. 2023-3. And I'm assuming you'll probably also want to discuss item E as well, since it's all kind of in the same. Okay, perfect. And then item E is resolution directing clerk to investigate a petition received under General Statutes 168-31, Mays Crossing, TMMG Development 2023-3. Madam Clerk.
The location of this property is at the intersection of Tarboro and Mays Crossroads. You have Hill Ridge here, this vacant lot here, and the animal hospital. It's that corner lot is looking to annex it.
Okay.
The deeds are in order, the signatures are proper, the maps look good, and everything is good to go.
All right, sounds good. Thank you for that. So the action requested here is to approve the resolution. Do I hear a motion to approve the resolution?
Second.
All right, got a first and a second. Any discussion before we move to vote? All right, hearing none, all in favor? Any opposed? That motion carries, and we'll get into item F and G because those two will kind of coincide with each other. Item F, presentation of certificate of sufficiency for annexation, Mays Crossing, TMMG Development 2023-3. And item G, resolution fixing date of public hearing on question of annexation pursuant to North Carolina General Statutes 160A-31, Maze Crossing TMMG Development 2023-3. Madam Clerk.
As I knew y'all would direct me to investigate, I've already done my investigations. I've looked at the deeds, I've looked at the maps, I've read the meets and bounds, I've investigated the proper signatures for the company, state website, and everything is in the.
Perfect. Thank you for that. Action requested here is to approve resolution setting public hearing for December 14th, 2023. Do I hear a motion to approve that resolution?
Second.
Got a first and a second. Any discussion before we move to vote? All right, hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries as well. Item H, text amendments to the Youngsville Development Ordinance, Article 8, individual lot width. The action requested here is to approve text amendment as presented.
To approve.
Second.
All right, got a first and a second. Any discussion before we move to vote?
This is changing the overall width or the road frontage width? Okay.
Any additional discussion before we move to vote? All right, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
And any opposed? That motion carries as well. Item I, text amendments to the Youngsville Development Ordinance, Article 4 and Article 19, Stormwater Administrator. Action requested here is to approve text amendment as presented.
Move to approve.
Second.
All right, got a first and a second. Any discussion before we move to vote? All right, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
And any opposed? That motion carries. Item J, text amendments to the Youngsville Development Ordinance, Table 8.1 and Article 10, Mixed Use Development Standards. Action requested here is to approve text amendment as presented.
Move to approve.
Second.
All right, got a first and a second. Any discussion before we move to vote?
The 5,000 square foot, does that limit how much space a business can hold in that? So you can only have a 5,000 square foot business? Okay, all right. Okay, cool. All right. Perfect.
All right, any additional discussion? All right, hearing none, all in favor? Any opposed? That motion also carries. Reports and other business, I actually have quite a bit. I appreciate Pastor Cooper and what he said earlier, and I know we are in Thanksgiving coming up season. We won't really see each other too much prior to the holiday, but I just want to say I'm thankful for everyone in this room. I'm thankful for my commissioners, for staff, for having an outstanding manager and planner and Parks and Rec and attorney, clerk staff, police. I mean, you guys are amazing, and I am very, very appreciative of everything because I fully feel like we're all a family. I really do. So that's my golly gee Willikers shucks kind of moment, but I am thankful for you guys, and I think it's important for y'all to hear that. So I want to say congratulations to Commissioner Breen and Johnson on their reelection. And I look forward to working with you guys over the next 4 years. I'm going to steal Commissioner Breen's thunder here a little bit because I'm sure he was going to speak to this too.
Forget something.
You know what? I will purposefully forget something. Just so, yeah. We had the opportunity to go up to DC and kind of fight for Youngsville and for Franklin County, including, and not limited to high-speed internet, the US One Corridor project, which is going to help decrease some of the travel times for some, Youngsville residents that might live in, that work in the Raleigh area. While I was educational, I was a little disappointed. There was one item that really, really struck a nerve with me, and it's in that book right there. And it's how little money for funding for infrastructure was awarded to Franklin County. Now, I don't know who's asleep at the wheel when it comes to those decisions. We won't be, because I know we've already got some really great contacts out of Senator Tillis's office, Senator Budd's office, Congressman David, and Congresswoman Ross's office. And I know we've got a schedule with Trey coming up. That's going to get fixed. That is unacceptable. And again, I don't know if that's from a county level. I don't know if that's from Economic Development Commission level. I don't know where that money's coming from, but we need some money for a bypass. And I'm looking at the monies allotted in that book. And for a similar size or smaller than Franklin County, these cats are getting tens of millions of dollars and we can't even get 800,000. That is laughable. Anyway, that was my soapbox moment. Now the rest of this is going to be gleeful and hopefully I've left you some stuff to talk about too. And I apologize if I didn't. Veterans Day is Saturday. Town Hall will be closed tomorrow. So there will be no sesquicentennial meeting. Wanted to say that we at Town of Youngsville honor our veterans who have served in all U.S. wars, past and present. We thank you for your service. The new and expanded Christmas lights look amazing. I think I forwarded the email where we were getting some positive feedback on those. I like having them on some of the side streets like Oak and stuff like that. That's really nifty. Looking forward to the Christmas tree lighting on Friday, December 1st. And then the next day, Saturday, December 2nd, will be the longest running Christmas parade in North Carolina. And I am super stoked about that too. My suit has been ordered and hopefully it will be in within the next couple of days. So with all that, I'll turn it over to Commissioner Red.
I have a lot of things in my brain, but I'm gonna pass by.
All right.
Lights look great. And speaking of veterans, we have that cemetery ceremony coming on December 16th, and I don't have any more information in front of me. Well, I'll let you talk about
No,
it.
I'll do it for you. That's fine. And you set it out front.
I did purchase a wreath and I will be participating, and I think it's important for that. So if you want to chat that up. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
All right. Commissioner Percy?
She said it. I Googled it. It's at noon on Saturday, December 16th.
I'll put that on my calendar.
okay.
Not.
Yeah. We do have a couple of, there's a couple chamber events. Next week, Edward Jones over here off Wheaton is doing a morning mingle at 9 a.m. And then Winslow Homes on December.
Tomorrow, isn't it?
Yes, tomorrow. No, not tomorrow.
It's next.
Next Tuesday. Next Thursday. Hang on.
Yeah, because I can't,
The breakfast thing?
it's Thursday.
What? Okay. Well, I'm glad you
Yeah,
brought it up.
right.
Yeah.
Or is it Friday?
It's not. It's next Tuesday, 9 to 11.
How did I have it tomorrow? Okay.
And then Winslow Homes is actually doing a chamber event, December 12th. So it is just before our next meeting. With the, they're going to have the Santa Claus out there for you want to bring your kids. We went last year. It was a great time. I think it's 4 to 6. So the monthly mingle for the chamber with Santa Claus at Winslow Homes. Both events in town. But this is it. Support our town.
All right. Anything else?
That's all I got.
All right. All right, Commissioner Brand.
I'll add to our DC trip, we were invited to go up and encouraged to go up with the Wake Forest Chamber and specifically their governmental affairs group. And like Mayor Flowers mentioned, we learned a lot, but we made a lot of great connections and built relationships, both at the federal level and local. We spent a lot of time with the leaders, some of them who are now commissioners in the town, their staff. And I left there with a lot of energy on what we can do in the future and some, excitement. And we're starting to think regionally instead of being siloed, because a lot of things that impact them impact us. And I think the more that we can work together and learn from each other, and then when we go to DC or go to the state legislature, we're going as a group versus, just the town of Youngsville. So I was really happy about going. They are planning, that group, the government affairs, they plan to do it at least once a year now. So I look forward to us participating in the future. We've, as Mayor Flowers mentioned, we made a great contact, Trey Lewis with Senator Tillis's office. He's coming next Friday, I believe. We're going to talk to him, and he's excited to get to know us. And we're hoping to, bend his ear and figure out how to get more dollars in that book next time for us. We, based off those connections we made, I've been invited to attend a meeting with Joy Hopkins, who is recently moved up to the Secretary of Transportation for North Carolina. So I have a meeting. I'm joining a meeting with him November 20th at the chamber. So it'll be good to talk to him again. I remember talking to him about getting a turn signal in here 3-4 years ago. So now hopefully we can talk about bigger issues. So looking forward to that. Campo meeting next week. Unfortunately, I have a major work obligation. I won't be able to go. Campo was going to provide, still is going to provide an update on the US 1 corridor project, which was one of the main items we talked about in DC. It's funny, we were touring the Capitol, and while we we're in there, I got a message about that meeting. But we'll get an update from him. And then Nathan, did we get another time scheduled? I forget.
Yes, sir.
There's a lot of meetings getting scheduled. So we've got another time for them to meet with us and talk.
And we got to witness history too. We were in the building when the Speaker of the House was elected. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Sorry, I stole your thunder again, man. I'm sorry. I was like,
All right. And unfortunately, Commissioner Red cannot attend next Wednesday as well for the Campo meeting. I don't know if we've got anybody else that you can always call in and listen if you can't make it in person. But that's all I got.
all right. Thank you for that. Commissioner John.
Just wanted to, as far as with the local elections and I don't think people really realize the importance of coming out to vote on a local level, on a municipal level. Some of the lessons we probably learned during COVID was, it's more important to have folks who make your local policies and make your local life than it is from somebody in another district. There was some concern though, because, and we ran into it, there were probably 60 or 70, just by guesstimation wise, that came to vote and couldn't vote because they weren't in town limits. They have a Youngsville address, and there's some confusion. So I don't know if there's something we can go back to the Board of Elections and let them know some way or somehow to let these folks know, because people wanted to vote, and that was a great sign. Fortunately for us, we had good turnouts at both places for it to be a size place it is here. Because when I first 16 years ago, I think I got elected with 24 votes, so I felt a lot better about it this time.
The first time that 44.
Yes, it's gotten better over the years. It's just important that folks realize that, and thank you to the folks that were at each one of the polls that gave up their whole day to do their civic duty and to help make it run as smooth as possible. And thanks for folks who got up all of our signs, because I haven't picked up one. I think I got one today, but it's a good feeling to know that we're in a free country where we can go do that. So just wanted to appreciate it. Thank you.
All right.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
And Commissioner Wiggins.
I'd just like to bring up one thing that we talked about. The county still needs to mow the grass at the library.
They told me the next time that their contractors come out, they will take care of it.
That's not today, isn't it?
We've now had critters.
Understood.
All right. Anything else, Commissioner Wiggins? All right. We'll turn things over to our esteemed legal counsel, Ms. Katie Barber Jones. All right, and turn things over to staff.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I had a couple. One, I wanted to extend my thanks to our magnificent deputy town clerk, who has done a phenomenal job with the website, and in fact has uploaded the entire museum website. So the museum website is now accessible to the general public through the Youngsville website. If you haven't looked at it, there's a lot of really good history about Youngsville in there. And be careful, because I discovered it one day, and 10 hours later, I was like, okay, I need to put this down. There's some good stuff in there. Casino night is January 20th. It will be a fundraiser for our sesquicentennial, and our town clerk, Emily, has tirelessly worked on making it a fundraiser that should actually be entertaining. If you want tickets, they're $100 a person. They are going fast. We have folks who we haven't even sent the invite to who have signed up for it already. So we encourage you, if you want to go, to sign up in the short term. And there is free childcare there if you're interested and need that. Our public works crews have done their third sidewalk project now. They repaired the damage here when they installed it, when the generator was installed here. They built the piece here in front of us, and then today they poured the concrete for a repair at Irene Mitchell. We're letting them learn on places that are less visible and where they're going to be working. So the next one that I've asked them to do is where the armory is there on Highway 96, to cut out the broken pieces and reinstall that, and they're getting pretty good at it. I did want to give a shout out to Commissioner Hershey. There have been a couple times where I've reached out to him and said, hey man, I don't know what this cable is that's hanging down from this power pole, but can you help me out? And within 3 days, he had people out that were doing what they needed to do to get the next step moved for a Main Street improvement project. There's no extra money for him or anything. That's him doing that just by virtue of him being a commissioner and desiring to help the town. And the last piece, Mr. Mayor, you asked me to remind you that Representative Winslow and Barnes will be here for our playground opening. I think our Parks and Rec Director, Ms. McLaughlin, is going to give us an update on that, but also to extend thank you to them. As I understand it, they allocated additional funds that were presented at the Franklin County meeting. And I think Representative Winslow is trying to get on our schedule to come and present those funds to the board.
Okay. Thank you for that. Any additional updates from staff?
I just wanted to add a big thank you, Mike, and our consultants for the comp plan. It was truly so much fun to work on, and a really great example of the growth that can come from public involvement. And I know that I'm super excited about the action items that are on the plan, and I just really respect everyone that we worked with. They love the town so much, as anyone would every single year. So it's like earlier, but thanks for funding the plan. I'm excited to hurry it out.
Outstanding. Thank you.
So I was commenting on our playground. We have it ordered. The date is December 15th. We are closing the playground on November 15th. That gives us time to all the stuff to remove it on our own. And the new playground will be opened on February 1st.
Sure.
We went with the gold, no, not gold. We went with the yellow, right?
Color do we go with?
Do you remember?
The kids shows. Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Yellow. The yellow, blue, and yeah.
Hey, they're
The
gonna be,
yellow and blue or the yellow and
they're gonna be
purple?
super excited about it.
Okay.
Good deal. Yeah, I mean, if we need to get on the calendar for Winslow, or if he needs to get on our calendar, yeah, that's totally fine. Anytime our amazing state representatives and senators want to come and be a part of what we're doing and help us with some finance, and yes, totally okay with that. So any additional updates from staff? If not, I'll turn things back over to Commissioner Breen, who apparently forgot something.
Yeah, I forgot. It was just yesterday, so forgive me. Nathan and I met with, Andy, I forget her name, last name offhand, but, at Wake Med, we toured the Wake Med North facility. And it was just the goal of, introducing ourselves, building a relationship. They talked to us about some of the challenges they had with, space for additional beds. Talked about how they had 80 people sitting, waiting for beds at times. And just looking at the numbers and how many of our citizens travel to Wake Med as their primary location for emergency room service and other services as well. So we didn't make any big strides or anything, but just building that relationship and keep that conversation open for getting healthcare out here in the future, seeing what challenges we have, opportunities, things like that. So it was a good meeting and looking forward to meeting with them in the future.
That's fantastic. That's a great idea. Good start.
Agreed. Yep. All right. Any additional updates from staff? If not, we do have a closed session tonight. Item A, North Carolina General Statutes 143-318.11A3. Consult with the town attorney concerning matters within the attorney privilege. So I'll entertain a motion to go into closed session.
Make
A motion for like 2-minute break, 5-minute break.
Once the room clears, we can, yeah.
Yeah,
So
second.
You got a motion on the table and a second. Any discussion before we move to vote? Hearing none, all in favor? Any opposed? All right, we are in closed session as of 8:31.
Perfect. Go on.
Thanks. Session, again, went into closed session, attorney-client privilege, no action was taken for the official record. And now I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
I got a first and a second and a third and a fourth and a fifth. Any discussion before we move to vote? Hearing none, all in favor? Any opposed? You better say nothing. All right, we're adjourned.
Good,